Oh, there is a unique person in here. I don't know who this is. We shall see.
It might be my new computer.
Oh, it is you. Impole, it says.
Oh, LMPOL probably.
Oh, that
And
would make more sense than impole. Yep, it would. It absolutely would. All right, we're gonna give everybody a second to get here.
can you see me though?
See, I moved away from that screen. No, it's black. Just
Yeah,
black. Like not even a picture, just black.
right. That's what I see too. All right. I'll try to fix that.
You work on that.
Yeah.
Ladies, I am so excited to talk about this book.
I didn't get there.
Okay, I am going to present and we're going to get started. Whoever comes, I'm going to check my phone, but it's 7:05. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm presenting on Canva and I always have a problem figuring out how to do that live. So it's so nice to see you all. Let's see. 5%. Oh, this is the problem with Canva. If I present, I can only do it on my full screen. Okay, so I'm going to have to leave it like that. So we will leave it like that. And if you're on your phone, you may have to make it a little bit bigger. But all right, let me make you guys bigger on my screen so I can see all of you. All right, show of hands. Who read the book? Yay! Oh, wait, Rhonda's like, no, I didn't read the book. Nope, that's all right, Rhonda. You can still be part of the conversation. You're going to want to read it after this call. Dee, how far did you get? Dee had 4 hours left this morning when we chatted.
Yeah, now there's 3 hours left.
Okay, all right, I'm impressed. You got an hour in. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to open it up with, I love my one word. I love my one word. So let's go around and in one word, how'd you feel about the book? In one word.
Connected.
Monique, why?
Because I feel like any more than one word.
All right. You hold on that. Lisa, what's your one word?
Connected.
Connected. I feel connected. I think that's a good word for this book. Connected. Who else? Come on, Monique. You need 3 words.
Scene.
I'll give them to you. You
No.
DI 5.
Scene.
What?
Scene. Like, I felt like it was about me, the book, so I felt seen. Like
Scene. SEEN. Scene.
Yes.
I got it. You got your power headset on over there. It kind of blurred what you were saying. All right.
Sorry.
What else? Who else has a word? A midnight library. Amber, what?
Contemplative.
Contemplative. So good.
Thought provoking.
Thought provoking. There's a hyphen in
Provoking.
there. It counts as one word. D got in the loophole. Marlo, do you read it?
Yep.
You got a word?
I do. Possibility.
I saw your lips about to move, Adriana, right as mine were. What do you got?
So I had a hard time getting past the first couple of like chapters. It bothered me. I couldn't read it. And then I even tried on Audible and it was giving me anxiety. So I will listen to this and see if it's worth finishing, but it really bothered me when they started this, like each chapter, I don't know what else to call it, with I have
The
these many
countdown?
days. It bothered me.
Oh, you never
Yeah.
got past the beginning, Adriana?
No.
Yeah. Because it gave
Marlo?
me a,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Marlo.
It was at first I was like, I'm sorry, everybody's an adult here. I'm like, Jackie, you're fucking kidding me with this book? Like I'm ready to kill myself. Literally. But if you make it past that, it was a worthwhile endeavor.
Mm.
Okay.
First of all,
So
you didn't say, I'm ready to kill myself. You said, I'm disturbed by the fact that she's going to kill herself. And I go, all right, come on, you can do it. Push past it. I'm telling you, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh boy, what book is this? But I have to tell you guys, I picked the book. I had started reading both of the options that I were going to put in front of you. So I was already past that part. And so I knew it was not about just this woman that was going to take her life. We have one more. Jane, you got a word, or you want us to skip you?
I don't have one word. I mean, to me, it was thought provoking. It was deep.
It was pretty deep.
It was
Yeah.
deep.
Can I change my word?
Maybe my word should be deep.
There you go. See, you do have one word. Well, now we'll
Okay.
open it up beyond the one word. Marlo, you can change your word. You can add to your word. Let's talk about overall the book. And then what my plan is for tonight is I want to go through each. Oh, I should change my slide. I want to go through each one of her regret stories. And I want to go through what she thought she was missing out on, what the reality was, and how we can reframe this. So I had a very interesting call with Lorraine, who's not here, but she'll probably be watching the replay, and I think she's going to pop in. And Lisa, the blog I just sent you is it kind of spawned from that. Nora believed that her life was really nothing but disappointment, right? So she attempts suicide, for those of you that it doesn't actually happen. And she wakes up in this place called the Midnight Library, right? And every book represents a life that she could have lived if she made the different choices that she was carrying around. I should have, all the shoulds, right? So in this work we do, we constantly are talking about the shoulds, the shoulds, the shoulds, the shoulds, right? So she ended up in despair at the very bottom of the emotional ladder because of the shoulds, which is what shoulds can do to us. They put us in despair. So she ends up meeting her old librarian from grammar school, and she explores her regrets one by one. Becoming a rock star, becoming an Olympic swimmer, becoming a wife and a mother, a scientist, a pub owner, and a bunch of other things. But every single life gives her insight into these lessons that she can really learn about herself. And Lorraine said to me something really powerful. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago in our session together, and I haven't been able to get past it. And it is, what if, or the shoulds, lead you into fear, and even ifs lead you into hope. And they are the two opposite ends of the spectrum on the emotional ladder. So when you find yourself in a what if, the whole point is to reframe it into an even if, and you go into possibilities. You don't sit in that despair that ended up burying her so deep that she no longer wanted to be part of this life. Right? So what I want to do after we just kind of talk about the book in general is go through each one of the lives and think about the what ifs that she told herself and how she could reframe each one of those, knowing what we know now, into even if, and take that root life, they called it, her main life, and make it feel good, right? Even ifs help us create that feel good life. We don't have to change any of the circumstances, is what she learned in this book, but we can still have a feel good life, even if those circumstances exist and they didn't match up. All right. So who wants to share? Let's go. Let's talk about the book. Marlo, you start because you wanted to change your word.
It's not that I don't think possibility was what, you know, at first popped in my mind for good reason. But then I thought about the book of regrets. And then I thought to myself, kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. In actuality, what my thought was, well, what's the opposite of regret? So what word would I use if it was the opposite of regret, right? And because in the end result, I believe that each one of those regrets were washed away in the book of regrets, as she realized, had the moment where, you know, whatever the realizations were, but in the moment it was going to be always be something in each life that was quote unquote regretful, that there could be things regardless of whether she went through with the shoulds or not. There was always going to be something. In any event, I thought to myself, what is the opposite of regret? Or what does this book make me feel is the opposite of regret, which is probably in the end result, what did she have? She had gratitude, she had acceptance. She realized that her place was far bigger than what she, you know, because ultimately I think we look in the end result, the final life, I think we're looking at her 3 years down the road, right? And she gets the opportunity to look at what she did for the old man, what she meant to, you know, you get the idea, everybody.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
I think it's and gratitude probably for the things we deem insignificant but really are so profound. We don't understand the magnitude of what we bring to the game, what we offer on a daily. I think we tend to dismiss a lot of it. And she certainly did. She certainly didn't think about the man and his flowers and you know, like, he's a good example where she thought it was so insignificant, yet she was quite significant in the old man's life, and you know, so in the bookstore and in the different things.
Yeah, in the bookstore, and it gave me "It's a Wonderful Life" vibes at
Sorry,
the
in the
end.
music store, I meant music store.
Right, the music store, but right, it gave you the "It's a Wonderful Life" vibes. Like, these are all the people that you touched, and this is what happens if you don't exist. Right? George Bailey didn't want to exist, and when he didn't exist, you know, everything went to hell in the handbasket. So our life and all the seemingly meaningless things, they're not meaningless. You know, when we ended, we talked a little bit last time, a while back, about the prayer process and about those 7 questions that you can start or end the day with and really be in contemplation with. Like, what do these things all mean to me? Why did I encounter that person? Why did that person say this thing to me? Why did this thing happen to me? Why was I late for work? Why did I miss the bus? Why? Right? And in the prayer process, it's actually a question. Like, pay attention and notice the things that were a little bit weird in the past couple of days, or a little bit like, you know, they had to mean something, but you can't for the life of you grasp what it means. Because I think we're all in agreement at this point that everything in life happens for us. We may not know it. It may not feel good in the moment because of the fear that takes over when we go below the line, but everything in general really does happen for us to move us forward toward the life that we chose to come here and create for ourselves, right? And we're all interacting with all the other people that also chose their lives. And we're in that quantum field where everything is bringing in every opportunity, every people, place, experience that's going to connect us to the things that are supposed to move us forward towards the very thing that we came here for. So to me, that's what I think Nora learned at the end, right? Is that it's all just part of a bigger plan, and we can't ever even contemplate what that bigger plan is when we're in the plan, right? And the even if is the faith that it is all going to work out for me. In whatever way, shape, or form that is, it is going to work out for me. Oh, here's Lorraine. All right, who threw in the chat? You know I can't. I need to have somebody in here to read these chats out loud. All right, hold on. I got to find the chat, but who else wants to share? Who else wants to share? Biggest takeaways from the book? Amber?
I wanted I wanted to just talk about the cat. Like that was that it I found that one very interesting of all the ones. Like it was just the cat's time that was interesting to me as well, you know, and um like sometimes no matter what you change, you don't change it. And I thought that was very interesting. That made me very contemplative about some other things in my life.
I also found the cat storyline different than all the others,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
in the end, you know, we're gonna go and we're gonna get to the cat, but it was very different than all the others. It was you did the best you could. It was the four
Yeah.
agreements. It was always do your best and then accept it as it is.
Yeah.
Period. Right?
Yeah.
Like
The
nothing could
cat
have
was very
shifted.
profound to me, that one. I mean, they
All
all were,
right.
but the cat, I don't know why that one. I mean, maybe because it was an animal, but it just really stayed with me. The cat one.
Teresa, Lorraine, you just popped in. We literally just started talking about kind of just biggest takeaways from the book in general. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through every one of Nora's Book of Regrets chapters. And we're going to talk about, Lorraine said something interesting to me a couple weeks ago in our session where what if keeps you in fear and even if moves you to hope. And so we're going to look at this book through that kind of untangled lens where Nora sat in all the what ifs and it buried her into suicide, into despair. And if we could reframe it now, knowing what she knows now, what kind of even if statement can we get to? So I'm going to move into the first regret, the band, right? So the band. So Nora thought that staying in this band was going to mean probably fame or purpose, maybe even money, success, but also a really great relationship with her brother and the bandmate, who I can't remember his name, which is why I wrote the bandmate. Because who remembers his name? Does anyone?
Rashi, wasn't it Rashi? Or
Rashi?
was it
Something
Ravi.
like that.
Rashi?
Ravi.
Rashi.
Ravi.
Wait, let me update this. Ravi. The bandmate. I couldn't fit for the life of me. And I had Audible. And I'm like, there's no way I'm even going to go find his name. I'm just going to have to keep clicking until they say it. So awesome. So she had this kind of idea that these relationships were all going to be thriving. And then she carried the weight of their dreams not coming true on herself. Why? Why did she carry the weight of their dreams not coming true? Because the truth is she quit the band, right? She quit the band. She quit the band. She was having panic attacks. What do we know about panic attacks? What do we all know about panic attacks? What are they?
False evidence appearing real.
False evidence appearing real, right? What else, Lisa?
Anxiety. Just
Anxiety, which is what?
flight. Get out.
Get out, flight, fear, right? So, but it's also when we have fear, it's a clue, right? Our feelings are clues. They're always clues. So she doesn't know that. She didn't do this untangled work. So she's sitting in this anxiety and she's having these panic attacks and she doesn't have any idea why. And she just goes, I got to quit the band. Right? In the end, I think Nora did what was right for her in quitting the band. She stayed in I think her anxiety was, you're staying here for the wrong reasons. You've gotten what you needed from this music thing.
The boyfriend though also was not a fan of the band for her, and he encouraged her to quit as well.
Right? So we find that out,
Yeah,
right?
Dan didn't like the band.
Dan did not
Dan
like
did-
Dan was anti-band.
Dan did not want the attention taken away from Dan.
Mhm. We
Dan-
we
Not a
learned a
big
lot
fan.
about Dan, right?
Yeah.
In the brief times Dan was in there. But did Dan contribute to that anxiety over the band and going on tour and signing a record label?
For sure.
How?
Dan?
What does Dan represent?
I don't know what direction you're going, but I mean, Dan was the whole thing. I think at some point he says, something very, ominous or negative, or I forget. He says something.
He
to
did.
her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in the version where she goes back to be with him, he talks about like how he kept her from
From the band.
spiraling that
From
anxiety.
spiraling. Yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps her in the water though, right? Like he
Keeps her in the water.
he doesn't let her get off and get on the dock.
And he basically says, it's the band or me. Right? So he's contributing to this thing where if you do that, you're choosing that over me, which now contributes to more fear and anxiety. But Nora believed everybody else but herself in this scenario. She believed Robbie. She believed her brother. You ruined our lives. You took our chance. They went in the water. Nora made a decision. Remember, we always talk about how the only thing people don't like more than change is when they're forced to change, right? And it could very easily push people into the water. They all got hit with a wave, right? So Ravi and the brother get hit with a wave and they go in the water. And they're in the water and they decide they're going to blame Nora for being in the water. What could they have done differently?
Well, I mean, there's a million things they could have done differently, but you could make the argument that she held a boundary, right? Not knowing she was holding a boundary, not understanding why the boundary is most important for herself. And in holding that boundary, that's where all the guilt and shame and responsible feelings came from. I think had she done this work, she would understand that the boundary was necessary for her own self-preservation. It wasn't what she wanted. It was what Robbie wanted. It was what her brother wanted, but it wasn't what she wanted. And so she was halfway to right, but then took on all of their reasons for being in the water that had really very little to do with her in the end result. But she took the responsibility. And I think, one of the biggest things that hit me is the moment at which you realize she's finally living a life for herself. None of them in the book of regrets, most of Nora's regrets had absolutely nothing to do with her actual wants, needs, or desires, right? Which, if you're having a minute with yourself while you're reading the book, which I may or may not may not have had, the idea that you've never truly followed through for your own, or the best moments in your life you may then recognize were the moments you really were about you, which we all know not so easy to navigate to. We always have a bunch of other things weighing on us, pulling us, directing us, and it really that's where all this work starts to make monumental sense. If she could have just walked a little bit further, she held the boundary. Whether it was motivated by fear or not, she knew she didn't belong in the band.
Exactly.
The follow through, however,
The panic attacks were the signal. This is not a good fit.
Right.
It's not a good fit. Did Dan contribute to that? Yes, on why it wasn't a good fit. But I think she knew it wasn't the right fit. I think she didn't want to be on tour with the band. She didn't want this band life. She actually said to them, I will write all your music for you, which I thought was interesting when we get to the philosophy part, right? I will write all your music for you. And she's telling Robbie, I said I would write your music. You guys could have gone on without me. And they stayed in the water. No, we couldn't have. You ruined our lives. No, he's not okay. Your brother is not okay. I am not okay. And you are not okay. And she believed them. And the thing is, She believed them instead of herself. So Marla, you were absolutely right. She got up the courage, right? She went to wise mind. She listened to her body. She goes, I'm not doing this. This isn't for me. She got up the courage. She put in the boundary. That must have been really, really, really hard for her. And then when she walked through it, because she didn't have safety on the other side, because she didn't know how to dream, because she didn't know how to use her gifts, right? How to follow her passion. She just abandoned the band piece and then turned it into, I abandon everything.
I would argue in some ways herself, right? Because she turned away from the band, but she also then pieces of her that were very, in my opinion, pivotal for her were allowed to die off as well. In that, you know, yes, she's in the music store, but it's almost like we see at the beginning what's happening with the music store. She's not even able to have that same fervor for any piece of it because it's the regrets are so, I'm not being very
Right, they're
articulate, but you
robbing her.
kind of get the point. But they're
Yeah,
they're taking their
the
toll.
The regrets are robbing her of any joy.
Yeah.
Remember, when we're in the water, we can't see. The water is in our eyes and we are drowning. We can't see. Imagine someone splashing you, dunking you. You literally can't see the future in front of you. Right? So here's where I go, even if, right? So she went, what if? What if I had stayed? What if I had gone on tour? What if I had never left the band? And what happened? Her what if was fame came with emptiness, anxiety, and panic attacks. She was literally still on medication. She was doing drugs and she still felt like she was under pressure. She was completely out of alignment. Is this the one where her brother was dead too? Yeah. Lisa.
I thought so, but then I actually read the book so long ago at this point that I was, but yeah, I think he was dead in this one.
Yeah, he was dead. He was dead. And so, here she goes. What if I had gone? I would still have a relationship with my brother.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, she had no relationship and no chance to repair it. A recurring theme that also happened with Izzy. I had no relationship and no way to repair it. Right. So in this life, in my root life, I have no relationship with my brother or Izzy. Do I have a chance to repair it? Yes. Right. So even if this is where we go, all right, what if it didn't work out? It was not good for her. Did it feel good in the moment to be up there to know that she could? The only thing that felt good about it was that she could. Go ahead.
But I
Mario.
just thought of something. So it's interesting because in a life where they have the band, think about it. And if you think about her being the one to put the kibosh on the band, then when the band is successful, not only that her brother's already gone, but she's the focus. There's that whole, right? So here's this thing that tells me she had the weight of it on her as well. She, in the end result, she is if you believe the version that becomes the band, she's the talent. All they want is her. When they go to be interviewed, nobody wants to interview any of the bandmates. They're not interested. They just want Nora. Nora, with the offer of, I'll write the music, clearly that tells us she's the pivotal piece. She's got the talent. And then it is confirmed, right, in the storyline where they are. But so in somewhere I in that moment, it just occurred to me that she knew it all along. She knew they couldn't, she held the weight of the fact that they weren't going to be able to make it without her, which is why she offered. And we see in that life, she's it. She's where it's at. Why, is that too much for Joe? Is that why Joe's dead? Like you can go all like, so look what happens. You should have done it, but it didn't serve Joe anyway. Is that why Joe, whatever he did, drink, drug, whatever it was that he did to himself to death, right? So just interesting. That's all. I mean, it's just so many, listen, we all have our own personal versions of this for obviously. And you start to think about the flip side. And we tend to glorify the flip side. It would have been perfect. It would have been, needless to say.
But I also just think like too, like, we we continue to find evidence, right? To look for what we believe about ourselves. But if we flip the script, like if she had said to herself, I'm the bomb here. Like, I'm the lead singer. I'm writing the songs. Everybody, they want me. Like, if she just had a little confidence and had a little bit of a different perspective, then she would have found evidence to make her think very differently about herself throughout her lifetime. And so, but what she did was she just kept looking for her reticular activating system was programmed on how she was the problem and she was the challenge and she was the one that never left town, that never left her job, that never became the thing. And she just applied that story to herself instead of ever looking at it herself from the other angle, where when you really started to look at it, she was really the flower, right? So
Does anybody, could anybody, go ahead, Teresa.
Sorry, then I was just gonna say, add to that. That's when Mrs. Elm said to her, "It's not what you look at, it's what you see."
it's what you say, right?
Yep.
Because I love that quote. Like, really did something for me. I like that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is that reticulator activating system. So can you get to the core belief behind what she believed about herself, even when that happened? So she'd already done, now she doesn't visit the Olympic life first, she visits it next, but she'd already not followed through with the Olympic life, right? So what core belief did she pick up when she was a child and she didn't pursue that? What did she believe about herself that we know wasn't true, but what did she believe that then her reticulator activating system for the rest of her life will now show up giving her proof of, which is what ultimately led to her death? Monique?
That she's responsible for other people's happiness. Like, that was my biggest takeaway, that she felt like she owed other people more than she owed herself. And I just wanted to say what Amber said. Like, I totally agreed. I was going to say, it reminded me of our conversation on Saturday where remember, you're a freaking badass. Like, I did a lot of tough shit. And sometimes I forget that I've done a lot of shit in my life where I'm perfectly capable, no matter what anybody else thinks, says, or feels, or wants to put on me. I don't have to carry that.
There is an opposite belief that is keeping you from remembering that. There's an opposite belief.
Yeah.
And in Nora's case, that belief is, I abandon my talents. I abandon things. It's an I statement. It is literally an I statement. They told her when she was a child that she abandoned swimming. Right there, the first should came from everybody around her. You should be an Olympic athlete. You should be in the pool. You should be pursuing this. You should be. And what did she tell herself? I should be, but I abandon things. I abandon things. When things get hard, I abandon them. That's the belief. That's the limiting belief that she told herself. But if you go to swimming, was that true? Did she abandon swimming? What happened with swimming?
Well, I think in the end result, I mean, swimming became, if you go to the life that she was and when you're listening to Nora's lives, that whole rant about all the lives she lived, it says she became a swimmer just for herself, not for, right? So as an Olympian, she speaks when she's talking about the freeness in the water at some point, and I think it's during that life. But then even in that rant about all the lives, they make a point of saying she swims now, but it's just for her. Right. And I don't think that anything, and I think that's big in the end result. If you go to fast forward to the end, she only lived lives, right? Every time she came back, the book of regrets got lighter because she only lived lives that were led by others' needs and wants, right? That's the only places she went to initially. Well, pretty much throughout until she finally gets the lights start flickering and we're coming, dangerously close to the library crashing down. And now, in the end result, she finally picks a life that,
Gives her hope.
Not
Gives her
only gives her
hope.
hope, but is one she's actually living for her. That's the point. Forget about even just, and it's a good point, right? It's hopeful because for once, it's not hanging on somebody else's approval. Which I go back to what Monique just said, right? Monique, if you know you're badass and you've done badass things, but our problem is, what is jackass? What's the flip of that? Well, the flip of that, you're waiting for somebody to validate it. You're waiting for somebody to say, yes, you're as badass as you say you are. That may never be the case, right?
Or to give you the course, or to give you the course. I really think Nora, she didn't want the courses that everybody else was putting in front of her, but no one ever told her she could make her own. And I think that's where most of us started in the blueprint. We know what we don't want, right? Which is why we start with all the contrast stuff. We can very easily see what we don't want, but no one ever taught us that we could design a life on what we do want. No one taught me.
And I think there's a ton of science behind the fact that we're listening to ourselves. You know, I hate to say it, you put in enough years of convincing yourself, like Nora did, I'm the problem, whatever that version is for you. And your reticular activating system, your neuroplasticity is paying attention exactly to the shit you fed yourself. I don't have a more eloquent way to say that, ladies. So, just.
Can I add something? I think we're all at an age too where like the dreams and hopes and things we wanted in life, we're kind of past that point, right? We've either fulfilled them or not, right? When we grow up, what do we want to be? And then like, I know I definitely stopped dreaming at some point before I started doing this work. And I think this book reminded me that at any point we have the power to change it. So, I mean, without going into some of the details, right? Like, I think that's the gist that I took, is that like, I'm in charge, and I never gave myself really permission to be in charge. A lot of times, right? I believed other people told me the good, the bad, and the extremely detrimental, traumatic things that people have said to me. I kind of harp on those and let them fester. So,
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Go ahead, Amber.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I married an alcoholic at 20 years old, and his life was so chaotic. I never had a chance to even look at mine, and I was with him for 24 years. So I think about I didn't even develop myself. Like, I'm 57, and this is the first time in my life since I'm 15 years old that I'm even looking at myself without anyone else's influence, without my mom, without my son. He's turning 17, or just turned 17. He's going to be a senior, like he's graduating. Like, I can make decisions for me independently for the first time in my entire life. And I'm so grateful that I'm at this point in my life with this tool set, because now it's exciting to see what's coming, because I can make these choices. But the damage and the years, I mean, decades of lost time because you're just so reactive. It's, I don't know. It's very interesting to see how sometimes those stories you tell yourself aren't even things that you're telling yourself. It's like you're just living in your situation.
Pattern repeat.
We're not aware. We're asleep. We're completely asleep. And again, Amber, I absolutely love that, because I followed it, right? Like, in my head, I know your whole story. So as you're talking, I'm following it, and then I'm going, but you said it was wasted, but it wasn't wasted. And if you look at it through the lens of this book, it wasn't wasted. In this moment, you were exactly where you were always meant to be. Abraham Hicks says the path of least resistance and greatest joy. Could we have had a path that had less resistance and more joy? Probably, right? If we didn't go around the mountain a number of times on the same topics, we would be on a different path sooner. But that's the pain of regret.
And this
pain
is
of
the
regret
difference
puts
between
you there.
coaching and therapy, because I was in therapy the whole freaking time. And I would
But I
say to
also
my
think-
therapist, I need to do something. And
Well, I think that's also a thing, Amber, where I think Abraham makes a very good point, right? Looking back, and we all have the habit. It's a tough habit to break. Therapy puts us in the position of constantly looking backwards. We've talked about this. I have 30 plus years of therapy. What good comes from looking backward? Most of the time. Like, does anybody really much good coming from looking backward? We also approach this coaching, the private coaching that we do differently with a different skill set. We do something with the information now. You just said you want to do something, and you do on a daily. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's not perfect days, but what did therapy do? And Abraham tells us, what good is it to go backwards? And is adamant about not ever bringing. I mean, have you ever listened to Abraham Hicks try to stop somebody constantly wanting to speak about their story? It's hilarious. It's hilarious when she does that.
Vibrating on the lack.
Correct.
They're vibrating. It's the same topic, and there's two ends of the stick. One end of the stick is the lack of, and the other is the promise for. Right? And if you can't get to the promise for, then she says, go to a different topic.
I was just going to say, and think about how hard it is, Jack, for an adult person sitting there trying to talk to her to articulate the story in a way. And Dee's laughing because Dee, you know it's true. We've listened to it 1,000 times. I don't know if you rest of you listen to Abraham, but trying to listen to an adult tell the story without looking back and sitting in the shit, and I don't, again, know a better way to say that, right? It's almost an impossibility for them to have to take it, twist it, and put a good, positive, move this above on the emotional ladder, get out of the water, step on the stairs, get on the dock. It's very hard because
we're never, ever taught that, ever.
Correct. We're trained.
Otherwise, you question it, but that's all you do is question it without action.
100%.
And want everybody else to agree with it. We question it because we want everyone else to agree with it to make it make sense for us, right? When really all she has to do, and I think all I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to go contrast, right? Interrupt people. Contrast. What's the clarity? You could skip the whole story, find the clarity, because that was contrast. I'm not going to argue with you. It was contrast. If you felt it was contrast, it was contrast. What's the clarity?
Think about Nora. Think about the book. The entire time she goes to shoulds and woulda beens and couldas, everything is ugly and it's bad and it ends badly. No matter which version of the life she picks, and she says it. Every one of these lives have their issues, and it's all about looking back and regret and what that brings, right? So every version didn't turn out until the version she finally gets to that's not about looking backward. It shows her what it looks like to go forward. I contend that life, because I don't know if you realize that, but it's 3 years down the road. Obviously, the baby, Molly's what, 3 or 4, she says. It's 3 years probably down the road, that life. It's the first time she looks forward at a grasp of what it could be if it came from her root life, if she made some choices going forward different than she made in the past. Right? So isn't that the same
Very
thing?
simple choices. Everyone's still alive. The brother's still alive. He's with the boyfriend, right? She opened the door. I kept hoping, Ash.
Well, he's not with that boyfriend, because you notice at the very end, she says to him, tells him who he is, that he's a doctor, and he's like, "What? How the fuck do you know that?" And she's like, "Never mind, just go meet him." So that's why I'm saying, like, but that's the first time she's not motivated by looking backwards, and it's not the contrast, it's the clarity, it's the forward motion. It's pretty brilliant in that respect. I didn't even think about that at all until now, but yeah.
So much. I couldn't wait to talk. So this is the kind of stuff where I go, this is why we need a community like this, right? You need a community like this because nobody else sees this stuff, right? Yes. Was it a great book? Yes. we all went around and in one word, we kind of said why we thought it was a great book. Curious to see if other people not doing this work think it's a great book for the
My
same
sister
reason.
said, "Oh, what'd you read? Midnight Library." She goes, "Oh, I read that." And I went, huh, huh. And I just left it right there because she's a book club queen. And I thought
Yeah.
if she had more to say, she would have said it. And I'm thinking to myself, as we're talking about it, I think it's actually more, it was a good book, but I'm actually thinking it's for our metaphors and what we're trying to draw parallels to. Yeah, I think it's a really great book. The more we're talking about it, the more I see it. But yes, a regular person without this skill set, it's a good book. Yeah, it is. So
It's a good book. I'm going to skip the philosophy. Let's go to the pub. Opening the pub. She thought opening the pub with her fiance would build his dream. And in return, it would give her love and security and a life that looked really good on the outside. And what happened?
Oof. This hit home. This was like life, like real life. Like, I'm going to put aside my whole self to build you up because I see your potential. You don't give two shits about your own potential. And it's like he's just content being who he is, not growing. And I don't know, I guess maybe I looked at it a little different because it kind of hit close to home, but like in my head, I'm like, you gave it all up for him, and I've been there. And I know it's not healthy. So yeah, that's what I took from
And it's
the pub.
funny that that's where you went in that story, and where I went was to his alcoholism.
And his
Well, I mean-
You
betrayal.
went what?
And his betrayal.
And his betrayal.
Yeah, but I had that in real life, so in my head, like that all fit because that's exactly the
Yeah,
package
I
that
mean, you're
got.
like she gave up her whole life, and he stopped growing, and he dragged her down, and she's carrying the weight of it. And I'm like, she listened to her gut. She listened to her gut that wasn't the right relationship for her, and she didn't know why. How
Mhm.
many of us have ever been in a relationship where we just knew it wasn't right, but we didn't quite know why? Right?
Mhm.
And we're really told, again, I don't know if we were told, I don't know if it's just an unspoken thing, but we're kind of told you don't leave unless there's a real problem. And other people get to define what real problem is, not us. So we're like, I think I got a problem. And they're like, it's not a real problem. Well, in whose world is that not a real problem?
That is so very true. That
he's a
is
great
so very
guy.
true.
He's a good provider. You have, a nice
He's so
family.
fun.
What more could you want? He seems, yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
He's so fun.
Yeah,
I
I made deals with God when I was in that relationship that I think of this. I'm like, God, you're not giving me like a big enough sign. And like God was obviously protecting me, right? But I'm like, it's not that bad. Like, and I justified so much garbage. So like that's like when she left and she whatever, like I was so happy for her. So
so I have two teenage boys who have been in relationships. Both have been in relationships that were fine, and both didn't want to leave because they didn't know how to leave, even though it was because it was fine. And they didn't want to be perceived as the dick. Both of them. I'm not into this anymore, but if I leave, I'm going to be the dick. Well, that's not true. Will you be villainized from people that don't have a healthy understanding of life? Yes. Those people's opinions are not the ones that you need to be carrying around.
Your opinion of me is none of my business.
Other people's opinions of me is none of my business. Because you're looking at when we have judgment against people, it means that we are looking at their lives through the lens of our lives and saying we would have done something different. That's what judgment is. It's us in our shoes going into their lives without anything to do with their lives and putting our stuff, inserting it right there in that moment and saying, this is what should be done. Says who? Says us who has no clue? And both boys in the end, it was the greatest lesson that I taught them that no one ever taught me. I stayed in so many relationships for so many years too long because there was nothing actually wrong other than my instinct saying, this is not a good fit. And I spent years, my college boyfriend I was with for 3 years longer than the 1 year I should have been with him. I spent 4 years with him. And only 1 year was one that I was actually exploring the possibilities that this could work out. The other 3, I was trying to figure out how to get out of it in a way where I didn't look like a dick. That's a long time.
The same could be said of friendships. Female friendships, for sure. Knowing full well you should, have an exit. Mm-hmm.
There's another piece of this book where the reason, the season, and the lifetime came up, and I can't remember what it is, but when I start going through the things, it will. But I think a lot of what this book taught us, again, is we think everything's a lifetime, when everything really is a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and the lifetime is very rare. And when we get something good, we go, oh, this is lifetime because it feels good. But it could feel really good for a reason. It could feel really good for a season. Oh, that's what it was. It was the glaciologist. Becoming a glaciologist was a reason. It gave her a reason to focus on something that made her feel good when her dad died. And Mrs. Elm gave her that. The idea of glaciology and adventure and leaving this world and going out into that and exploring and being close to nature and connecting and being a scientist was a reason. She held on to the regret that she didn't do it because she told herself it was supposed to be a lifetime. How about gratitude for it being a reason? I always think about being a glaciologist, and it brings me great memories, and I smile because I know that I got lost in those science books, and I got lost in the National Geographic, and I got lost in the idea that I could travel and I could go, and I had someone to talk to about all of this stuff. That was the reason. That was the reason. The boyfriend at the pub, that was a season. The band, season. The Olympic swimming, season.
It's so crazy. Like, now that you have this understanding and perspective, having done this work and looking at it, I mean, I'm not trying to make this so personal, I'm sorry, but it's
Make
like
it personal.
I have lost friendships that I had for 40 years. You talk about how you didn't leave that guy for 3. I didn't leave my husband for 24. Like, and I kept people in my life because I didn't know that they didn't, like, it didn't, even though it didn't feel good, I didn't understand that you were allowed to let go. Like,
Right.
and whatever, because I was so people pleasing and so empathetic and so nice, like, and because I just like it was just who I was, like, so you could just walk on me and it didn't matter, and I didn't even realize that I was being walked on. And then when those people became so disgusted with me because of my change and my growth and my development, and they left me, I was like, my God, why did I allow that? Like, in every single one of my romantic relationships and my relationship with those 2 friends of mine that left, that after 40 years, like, maybe not so much Robin, but definitely Jamie, like Jamie and well, Neil, I guess part of it. I mean, but Kevin for sure, Bill for sure. I mean, you're talking like 35 years of my life that I clung to because I thought they were forever. I thought they were lifetime. And had I let those people go as season or reason, like, I mean, again, you can't stand in the regret, but it's like so hard not to think about what that version of the book would have looked like.
Amber, even knowing this stuff, it's still hard to do those things because we have to walk through the fear. Our biggest fear, our primal fear, is that we're going to be alone. As human beings, it all boils down to I'm going to be alone and I'm going to die. That's
You know what's
primal
funny
fear.
is I love that thought now, the alone part.
Here, here.
Look, God, can I be fucking alone? That's amazing.
Because there's no fear. Because the truth is, what I know is I will only be alone as long as I want to be alone. And I want to be alone till I figure out who I want to be surrounded by again. And I get to choose. Jamie, this makes me think of you and your new friend situation.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we spent all this time fearing that we're going to be alone. And then you do this work and you get alone and you're like, oh, now I get to start over with a blank slate and choose my people.
Did you say shoes? And shoes?
We could choose and we could choose over shoes. It's a different world, right? It's a different world. Voltaire the cat. Lisa, right now, you have to take a screenshot. Don't move. Don't move. I'm going to take a screenshot right now of you because you look exactly like Maddie here with your hair. Like, I'm going to send it to you.
Very true.
Right? Like, I just thought
her face right now. Lisa, your face right now.
Right now.
It's
all Maddie.
Yeah. She might be your daughter.
That's okay. I did make her.
Voltaire the cat. If I had just cared better, the cat would still be alive.
Could have named Voltaire Noah.
Go ahead, Marlo. Share synopsis for those that don't know.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't, in those moments when she finally says, no matter what version, Voltaire, and thought it's a metaphor. My son is not gone, and neither should he till he's 150. But there was a ton of regret there, and in every version, it's something I have to do to make it different. And in that moment, I really had that. No, it is exactly as it would have been, no matter what I would have done, whether I stayed, lived in New York, whether I came to Florida, where I am. It just hit me like that. That Voltaire the cat and Noah were really a storyline. It's just the destiny. It's just the destiny. It has nothing to do with my choices. It's just the destiny. And it is as it's supposed to be. It is exactly as it's supposed to be. And I will tell you, it's good to be able to sit on the dock, and the water can be, moving with regret and muddy from all the things and really moving underneath you. But if you can steady that dock with the knowing, it really changes. Clarity is key. Yeah, for sure. So I thought, it's immediately what I thought. For me, it was Voltaire the cat and Noah. So.
And really, it doesn't have to be about death. And I love that you brought Noah up because I'm coaching someone now. She's a widow and they have grown children, and the grown children are pulling away and moving and starting their lives. And the story she's held on to is that if he was still here, they wouldn't be doing that. And we reframed it because adult children do that. And she's never had adult children before. So the story she picked up to make herself feel better about it is to go back to the heaviness and the pain of the loss and give it one more reason to suck. But the truth is, adult children leave, and that's our job, is to encourage them to
They're
leave.
supposed to.
And if, right, and
Well,
if,
In
go
some
ahead.
And
in some
every
worlds, we're
then-
supposed to.
Well, and you look at Mother Nature. Even the bear will angrily push them away and send them on their way. It's how it's naturally supposed to be.
They
Not
have
work
stuff
that
to
way in
figure out.
Italian families, Rhonda. I think the messaging is very different
No,
in
no.
Italian
Well,
families.
Well, I think they should stay close for Italian
We can
families.
send them
But they do
pasta
not, they
dinners.
do, you should not have failure to launch. You know, understand what I'm saying?
Oh, listen to me, 100%. I'm teasing a little bit. You want to, yeah. But I think I'm laughing because I think you're right. There should be no failure to launch, and nobody wants a
Right.
40-year-old mama's boy living in the basement. That's not what I mean. But
I will tell you that is a lot of the norm today.
I
It
think
truly
that's fair to
is.
say there's a lot of it happening for sure.
Absolutely. For various reasons,
Yeah.
but yes, okay, so as an example, I had my 25-year-old come and live back home for 1 year. She wanted to come back for 1 year so she could travel and we could babysit her dog and everything. And
Smart
I
kid.
thought I was getting back an adult, who had lived out on her own and, done everything. Nope. She came right back and slid right in under the line and was like, "Yeah, I'm a kid. You make all the dinners, you do all the chores, you do, you do, and I'm just going to sit here and read my book." Well, no.
Not so much. Right.
No. So many of them are a failure to launch, unfortunately, and for financial reasons, I'm sure as well.
Yeah. And that's what comes. My son was very funny. In my head, I have this plan where they could move back home, and we're not far from New York, where they're both going to have, one of them's going to end up working in New York. One's going to end up working locally here in a school. And I'm like, you live here a couple of years till you're ready to move on, but you pay off whatever student debt you could pay off without having rent, right? Like we're pretty easy to live with. Like I do this work for a living. As much as I'm still off the dock sometimes, I come back on and I'm like, I ground myself and I help them stay grounded. So my middle, we were talking about it and I said that and he goes, "Wait, I'm allowed to come back home after college?" And I was like, "What?"
Different rules. Different rules.
It's like, what part of you thought that you couldn't? And he goes, "I don't know. I guess I've just watched stuff on TV where people just don't come back. They're not allowed. Parents don't want them." And that's what it really was. He watched so much stuff about failure to launch and about the parents being annoyed that the kid was home that he decided he doesn't want to be that kid that makes his parents like that.
And it's a wonderful feeling for them to want to come home. It is what I would say as an example, as a real life example of that happening is, when you look at this child coming back home, you like have expectations in your mind, like we're all adults. Everybody's part of this team and everybody's going to chip in. And I would say, lay out the ground rules right from the beginning. You're an adult.
There's the There's
you
the
are not my
expectation.
child. You're not a little kid coming back home. You're an adult. You've lived out on your own. You know how it's done. You know how to do it. It doesn't change.
That's my expectations, right? So here we go back to boundaries and we go back to communication and we go, all right, my kid's moving back home. We need boundaries here. We need to set some guide rules up from the get-go. And you didn't do it because no one told you could.
I've never had a boundary in my life. That's one huge problem I have that is being corrected. It is.
I recognize in this conversation, I didn't have the failure of the launch problem. I had the exact opposite. He was ready to go. And so, and
Yeah.
maybe that is another metaphor for Voltaire, right? Voltaire was ready to go. Voltaire was meant to go. He was dead in all the lives. He was just meant
In
to be
all the
gone.
lives.
Right.
You know, I
So
want to talk about something else that happened in all the lives. We talked a lot about emotional home in the Untangled Blueprint. And a lot of you are 6 months out of the blueprint. Some of you are actively in it, but we've been away from the emotional home for quite some time. And you notice your patterns. And a lot of you will enter in the one-on-ones, or when we connect, you'll go, yeah, I went in the basement. 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 We all go in the basement. We're never not going in the basement. The basement is there. It's our emotional home. In every one of these lives, Nora was on antidepressants because
always
her
had a- and always-
emotional home
and
was
had always
overwhelmed.
tried to kill herself.
Yeah.
Always had a scar.
So her emotional home was overwhelmed. Her emotional home was disappointment. Her emotional home was worry. Her emotional home was fear. Her emotional home was there. And when you go down there and you stay down there, it leads to despair. Right? So it wasn't her life circumstances. It was her emotional home. It was her wiring. We're here untangled is part of the rewiring process. We are trying to rewire the neurons that take us to our emotional home. And the more we do it by going down, coming up, going down, coming up, going down, staying down, less time, coming up quicker, deciding to stay up, deciding to be up. The more we do that, the more we are actually changing our neuroscience. The neurons are changing. We are rewiring our brain function, which is why staying in this work and doing all of this work and listening to this work and surrounding yourself with people that speak this language and reading things like this and keeping the positivity going to help you notice the basement thoughts is so important. It's so important because there wasn't one life where that didn't happen. It was just her wiring. She had to learn to rewire. And when she goes back this last time, she's rewired. The Midnight Library rewired her.
Wasn't her mom sick in every life?
Yes, I just
Right.
came off of it.
So I mean,
her
her mom was sick in every life. Her father put her on a pedestal in every life and diminished her brother. So I mean, she had to deal with that also. So
No, didn't the parents in the end result, the brother was supposed to be on the pedestal. He didn't like the piano, and Nora got the piano by default. It was actually the opposite way. Nora got the piano because the brother didn't want it. They actually bought the piano for the brother. And the brother's whole shtick was that the brother was gay and not saying anything and feeling like he was living two lives. But I think it was like Nora, in the end result, I think Nora took it and ran with it. And that's where Nora became maybe the apple of the eye. Although I never got that impression really.
No,
she
her
was the apple
father
of her
lived.
father. Yeah.
He just lived through her in that one life. He was
Yeah.
living, but look what happened when he lived through her in that one life. He ditched the mother. He ditched the mother. He went on to a different woman, right? And yeah, so again, this is like deep. This you gotta, I get it, and then I lose it, and then I get it, and then I lose it. But if the mother's path was always to be sick, she chose to be on this earth living lifetimes that put her in the places to learn what that meant, right? The brother was in the lifetimes learning what all of those lessons he was supposed to learn. And that's the picture that's going to be created. And if the brother believed that, then in all the lifetimes, he's going to get more of what he believes.
Except for
get
the
more
one
of
where he
it.
died.
But he
Well,
got
even
what
then he got the ultimate.
I'm not good enough. His
Right.
brother's was, I'm not good enough. And in the end, he was dead. Can't be not good enough. You can't be any more not good enough than if you're not here to try.
That's the one where he kills himself, right? He's not dying by natural causes. He killed himself.
Yeah,
didn't
he kills himself.
Yeah. I mean, that's big when you think about it. No matter what, the psychology was the same. No matter what the version. The only time the psychology changes is when she finally makes choices, you know, um,
The lip.
it's like choice, right? When she finally makes the choice, that's the muscle. That's where the power was, right? That's where the growth happened. The muscle she flexed was the choice to do it differently.
See it differently. See it differently. I'm gonna see it differently. I'm gonna and then we got to go to this. The
Not what you
second
look
she
at,
comes
what you
out of
see.
it and she sees life differently, the woman calls her to say the son wants piano lessons again. Why? Because she's no longer a magnet for those things. Now she's a magnet for the positive things. She's a magnet for her talent.
I thought that was interesting, though, that even that whole thing, Jackie, where she recognizes we tend to minimize our reach, our effect, our purpose, our walking through these lives that we live, and yet she sees this boy becomes, sadly,
A degenerate.
yeah, like the cops looking at her like, "Are you a nutbag? This kid, he's a dirtbag, right?"
Right.
And she knows that 3 years earlier, he's no dirtbag. He's a very talented kid that could really have promise. And the old man, lives well because of her. He's inspired by her. Whatever it is she does for the old man, it seems minimal to her, but it's epic to him. And then he's dead with no one, I guess, being the wiser or whatever the case may be. I tried to make sure I finished. I don't have every detail, but you get my point. Like, I think a lot more of our own time spent in the little touches, the little, not making so little of what we do and who we are and what we mean, or maybe that's.
Did anybody see the movie Free Guy? Free Guy is Ryan
Gosling.
No, Ryan Reynolds when he's in
Ryan
the
Reynolds.
when he's in the video game.
He's in the video game.
Oh, it's a
So
great
he's
movie.
so think of the premise of a video game. And when you're playing a video game, you are the main character. But all the other characters are supporting characters. They all have a role, right? And they all have a role in order for the main character to do all the things that the main character has to do. Oh my God, Lorraine, this is bringing me back to the Trinity conversation. So if you think about it, we are the main character in our game. But in everybody else's game where they are the main character, that we are a part of their lives, we are the supporting parts that allow their game to take place. They can't be the main character in their game, focused on their mission, unless we play the parts of the supporting roles that really don't have any idea how we're impacting the lives of each main character. That's what she learned with that kid and the piano lessons. That she was this teeny tiny supporting role, but he wouldn't be able to live the game of life unless she showed up to do that teeny tiny part.
Well, changes the trajectory for sure, obviously.
It would be like Ryan Reynolds walking into the coffee shop in the morning and there'd be no barista. He wouldn't know what to do.
He wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right? And that barista was part of his overall life experience. If she doesn't smile and be nice to him and occasionally throw him a free coffee or make a funny name on his coffee or whatever, he may go to a different coffee shop that then changes the trajectory of everything after that.
Also gives you perspective on how what you're saying, your part to play for you is pivotal. You are the main character. Understand that your role in everybody else's story is supporting role, but that doesn't mean jump in their seat and take their wheel and drive their bus. It means
Just support.
show up as you're supposed to in a supporting role, whatever that,
in your best possible way, using your best possible gifts in the best possible way. That doesn't pull from your main event. I want to go to the piano teacher part. Because Well, I want to skip. Well, we could go to Izzy really quick. I mean, for me, the Izzy thing was really about, she tied it all up that I'm not friends with Izzy anymore because I didn't go to Australia. And in the end, Izzy wasn't even mad at her. It was just a story she told herself. Izzy was not mad at her. Izzy came back home and she was not mad at her. They had a very good friendship. She told herself a story based on her abandonment again, because her RAS is fueling it. I abandon, I abandon, I abandon, I abandon. Let me go under despair because I abandoned. I'm a bad person because I abandon. I suck because I abandon. I live a shitty life because I abandon. And now you're going to try and find any proof of I'm an abandoner that you could possibly find. So that was a completely made up story with Izzy.
Anybody, what was her, I mean, forgive me, I'm just wondering, what was her actual motivation for not going? I forget what the reason was. Anybody remember? Did she just not want to? Was she too depressed to? I don't remember why she actually didn't go.
I think it was after the mom
Dan.
died.
Oh, Lorraine, I think you're right. You think it was
Isn't
Dan?
it also Dan?
Well, Dan, and then the mom
had-
died, and then she didn't marry Dan anyway because
Right, okay,
she was just too
right.
distraught.
Yeah.
I think she just made the decision not to do it because she was so like stuck and scared in her head that a big change made her freeze.
Yeah. Or her gut said, it's not for you. But she goes, I don't know how to say it's not for me. So let me listen. And I told many of you this story of many of you. I came from a household where I didn't get what I needed emotionally unless I was weak and broken and absolutely had no other choice but for them to help me. That's the story I told myself, that I would only get what I needed if I begged and cried and tried all the other things on my own and came to them as this big broken puddle that needed to be saved. And it felt horrible to do that. And I didn't figure it out until 3 years ago. 45 years old, literally needing something from my parents and realizing I was about to pick up the phone and being like, I don't know what happened. And and I just need help. Can you help? Do you think you can come? Because the only way they were going to come is if I did that, is what I told myself. The truth is, I never assertively asked my parents for anything that I needed, saying specifically, I need this, ever. Because when I was young and I did that, 1 time, 2 times, maybe 3 times as a child, I didn't get it. They didn't hear me. They didn't see me. They didn't believe me. Whatever it was, I have no idea why they really didn't, because I was probably 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. The truth is, I told myself a story about it. And it wasn't true. So she may not have felt that she could be honest to Izzy. So she might have said, listen, my mother died. I just can't. I have so much on my plate. Like we're gonna make it like we wish it was a different way. But really, she doesn't, we don't know why she didn't go. We don't know. Could have been anything. She didn't want to go. Izzy, it's not the right time for me. I know we planned this for years. I know I said yes. I know you're going to be disappointed, but I cannot for the life of me to go to Australia. But can you please, please, please send me postcards and call me and keep me in the loop? And I want to know everything about your adventure. I just did it, you guys. I go on a hiking trip with my girlfriends every single year for the last 6 years. We plan the weekend, we book it. It's done. It's our time. When we're together, we talk about how we're never giving up this time. And I literally had to back out 1 week before we left because of school. And I didn't go in pathetic, and I didn't go in broken. I went in confident and calm and compassionate that they were going to be disappointed, and confident that I wasn't going to take that onto myself. Also confident to know that I knew what I needed. Also open to let them speak their mind and not take it personal. And literally said those words. I have some very disappointing news. I'm going to give you all a chance to tell me all the things that you think that I could do to fix it. However, I'm going to let you know that I've given it a lot of thought, And I don't think under any circumstances it's going to work out because I have way too much on my plate to take 3 full days and go into the forest with no internet, taking on graduate school. It's more than I expected it to be. I am managing it. I am excited about it. I am not devastated by it. I wish I could go, but I am choosing to stay home to do my work so that I am not overwhelmed for the rest of the semester. That is what's best for me, for my mindset, and for my family. And then the D said, blah, 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 blah. And then the C said, blah, 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 blah. And then the S sat there quiet, sad, and then the I blabbed it all out, and I get it, I was in the same spot. And then I let them all be them. I had to tell the D that I would think about it till the end of the weekend because she was insistent that I did. And I said, okay. Meanwhile, I didn't need to. The old me would have been like, I don't need to think about it. Don't tell me what to do. Right? This me was like, you know what? Thank you for sharing that. I think I will sit on it until Sunday night. Sunday night, Monday morning, I thought about it. Unfortunately, for all of us, not going to be able to go. It sucks. But if you don't carry other people's disappointment because you're confident in your own truth, it doesn't suck as much. And they appreciate the honesty. They really, really do. And they
I would
texted
argue-
me the whole weekend. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just would argue that it doesn't. Like, think about that. Like, I think about what the ability to show up as you are, to be who you need to be for you, and without everybody else's needs really pulling at your strings and just doing what you know is right for you. Because honestly, clearly, if you wanted to be there, you would have went. And it wasn't something you could do right now. And to listen to all of and let their stuff decide for you could have been disastrous. And I'm sure that everybody here has a moment that they can think of that is a parallel, right? Letting somebody else pull your strings and doing things we don't need to, want to, or have to do, but we do it anyway for all the wrong reasons. I'm not saying you don't wish you could have gone. You don't wish it was different. That's different. That's wisha. Nobody says no. But what was reality was you needed to stay home.
It would have been harder to people please than to walk through the fear of letting them down, than to walk through the disappointment of missing the trip and the FOMO. It would have been harder. I understand through this work that not being true to me, and this isn't, I'm doing what's right for me. It's not that. Did that sound like I was doing what was right for me? I was, but I was very compassionate about how my choice affected theirs. My one friend called me 5 minutes later and was like, I'm not going if you don't go. This is not the trip. We do this together. And she did that to pressure me to find a way. Right? And I was like, I absolutely under no circumstances want you to not go. If we could shift it and go somewhere local where we only hike one day, would that make a difference? I said, you know what? I would never want you to do that. But yes, if you all decided collectively as a group that that's what you wanted to do, change the trip, of course I would come just hiking Sunday. I told you, it's 3 days in the woods with no internet and no downtime to do anything is the problem. So, in the end, their reaction to my loving truth is not mine. It's not mine. Will I allow it in? Was I so dead set on, no, I already told you? No. My circumstances are this. This is the decision I'm making. If the circumstances shift, you can shift. If you can, if you're not worried about other people's responses to your loving truth, you have more ability to shift. We just worry about other people's responses to our loving truth and we take it on. That's the what ifs. She made up this whole story about Izzy. Wasn't true. Izzy was disappointed. Okay.
I have a question for you, Jack.
Go.
Do you think that the response or the reaction would be different if you said one of your kids were getting married?
Yeah, 100%. I think, listen, my C friend said this. It's so interesting when when you do this work. My C friend, stern but supportive. She's a CS. She's got compassion to her. But she's a CFO. She's like, so she says, I have a question. And I said, okay. She didn't know if she should be okay with what I was deciding or she's a persecutor, right? Her C wants to persecute. So she goes, what would you have done differently, knowing what you know now, when we were booking this trip 6 months ago? The old version of me would have crawled under the table thinking she thinks I have no integrity. That's what the old version of me would have thought. But this version of me said her C logical mind wants to forgive me, but is asking how she can forgive me and trust, go to Braving, and trust that I'm not going to do this again next year. She wants to know that she was valued and that if I was making this choice without considering how they all felt, right? Think about that question. Marla made a face when I said that question, right? How many of you were annoyed by that question? Well, what would you have done differently 6 months ago if you knew?
I actually think it's a flawed question. Because you know exactly what you would have done if you knew exactly what you were dealing with.
No, I said I didn't know I was going to be in school full time. And I also had never been in graduate school before. So I would have said, I don't know if I can go. Let me start the semester and see how it works out. And then I'll figure out if I can jump in.
And honestly, they probably would have said, had you done that route, they probably would have said, it'll be fine. You have plenty of time, heads up. You'll be able to plan for it. And you'd be on that list of going anyway.
Yeah.
Because they would have talked you into, it's 6 months. It's 6 months. You have plenty of time. So you did what you needed to do for you, and that was, in my opinion, the right decision.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they're not going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. That's the truth. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to disappoint them. We don't want them to think bad about us. We don't want to let them down. We don't blah, 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 blah. And who do we let down? Ourselves. Who do we let down? Our families. Who do we let down? Our dreams. Right? The truth is, I want to get my master's degree more than I want to go hiking in the Smoky Mountains right now. That's the truth. It wasn't the truth 6 months ago when I booked it. That's the truth now. We grow, we change, we shift, we move. So what other patterns did you notice about Nora? So we talked about the pattern that she abandons things, right? If you go to each one of these slides, if she didn't abandon the thing, what could she have done with? This was a lot about talents too and gifts, right? We talk about how we have this passion in our hearts. It's a gift. It's a gift. We have gifts, we have purpose, we have drive, it's supposed to lead us to things, right? So she has this gift of being musical. How can she use that? Even if I leave the band, what could she do?
Oh, I was
with the
going to ask
gift
a
of music.
Can
Monique,
I ask a question? I don't have a response for that, but can I ask a question after
Yeah.
somebody responds?
ask it.
So one of the things I wanted to ask everybody was there was one point, and I've only got to the part where she's back from being on the glacier with the whole incident with the bear. So that's how far I got. She's back in the library after that incident with the bear, and she finds out that that guy is like her, right? And he's done this before.
Hugo.
So yeah, and what stuck out to me was that he said to her, in one life they were happy together, right? And then she spends the night with him and was disappointed. And I'm like, it's funny that she took his word for it, right? And put herself in a position to test the waters, right? And then she leaves. And I was like, that her right there is not trusting herself enough. I don't know. It's like she never, and maybe I just didn't get to the point where she does, but everybody else's opinion is so much more valid. And it's like, what does it take for you to believe in yourself? That was my thing. Because I guess that's like fitting for life now too, right?
Yeah, early on, she didn't believe in herself. She didn't know she could.
She really just
only
had to
believed
go
what other
through all
people-
of these iterations. And when you get to the end, Monique, it's just like, boom.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll keep reading.
And Hugo was interesting too. He's been in purgatory for a very, very, very long time.
And willing to take the chance. Like Hugo knew he could at any moment, you know, we found out to jump into a life, and if you die in that, you know, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And he didn't care, which I thought was interesting. He was going to continue to jump.
A little quantum leap built in. I didn't expect that part.
Well, you know me, I love the science of it. Like I think it was pretty interesting that they went that route to make it.
I took from that he like nothing's ever good enough. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm gonna just keep testing them because you know this one is almost good enough, and it's like almost like self-sabotage, right? Like I'm a self-sabotager. I get almost to my goal and then I'm like, it was so easy to get here. Like I know how to do this. Like I'm just gonna coast, and I coast, and then I, you know, crash.
Serious commitment issues. Yeah.
Well, he thought the purgatory was a video store. Like that kind of ruined it. I wanted it to be this beautiful library. And then he said, well, it's anything you want. It's a video store in his life. And I was like, oh, this guy.
Well, I think it was like, it really kind of speaks to what you value, right?
Yeah.
And hers
For
was,
me, it would be a music shop.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's the video store. It's just,
for me, it would be a gym.
Well, I'm sure we all remember the video store, and you'd go in there and there would just be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies.
How do you want to
And
feel?
he was trying them all out, right? Like the fact that he had 300 lives so far was all the videos that he was watching.
Yep. I took it like, you know, Blockbuster. I kind of took, I kind of liked it because it wasn't a library for everybody.
Yeah.
It was whatever
Right.
we can see it as, right? Which is what I think life is. Like all our lessons, whatever we can see it as is how we're going to see it, right? Think about the doc imagery, right? Like the doc imagery is emotional regulation, but we all, every single one of you here in your midway checkpoints was like, it's the doc. The thing that stands out the most is the doc, right? Because you finally could see it. So how can we replay the same thing? I kind of liked it. I don't know, made me feel like throwback to Blockbuster.
I also think, like, you know, where do you, it made it clear to me that it's where you feel the most, like I felt like it's where you go to, the library brought you to where you go to dream, where you go to believe things are possible, where you go to believe that you're capable of anything. Because in both versions, those two versions give you an opportunity to, you know, think of other possibilities through whether it's video, whether it's through somebody telling a story, or it's the same thing. We're watching one, we're reading the other, but it was infinite possibilities that way.
Yeah, I see that now from you. If you look at it that way, it's really escape. So
Total escape.
Her escape was in books.
Or I wouldn't say escape only, because I would argue, aren't we always talking about the power of dreaming? Dreaming of these infinite lives infused through this kind of like ability to dream or vision. The library was not a place that she couldn't come up with a different vision, right? We're always talking about the need for that. I actually felt it was more, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired than that. Like I just thought to myself, where would that be for me? Where would I feel my most, able to imagine all these different possibilities and
I don't think there's many different things. It has to be a place where you could pick up something and it takes you somewhere, right? The movies, music,
Museum.
books.
I said the gym. I don't think it would be the gym.
The museum with a door, the gym.
I'd probably be in Wegmans.
Possibly.
Maybe every barbell tells a
Down
I'd be in
story.
aisle,
Wegmans.
a grocery store.
Yeah.
I love that.
These are new socks.
But I think
Right.
I think Hugo just wanted fantasy after fantasy after fantasy, and I think it's sort of like, when they say you didn't learn your lesson, so you'll be reincarnated and you're going to come back
Yeah.
and try again and try again. So he just kept trying because he didn't learn anything yet, and
No,
it's just a
in the
little
end,
boy.
Nora did many. I mean, she went. There were hundreds.
Oh, she did a lot, yeah.
So I think she surmounted wherever he was when she met him. We don't know how long that went on. We don't know. It said, I did this life and I did this life a few times, and I did this life and I did this life and I did this life. And in that one I had this, and in that one I had that.
And she said some were seconds and some were weeks. So it was.
So
Yeah.
I listen to Next Level Soul podcast and I hear all the near-death experiencers, and I'm obsessed. I love near-death experiences because they all go to the other side, and many, 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 many of them have stories that paint the same picture. And this book is what happens to a lot of them. So they do get to go and see different things, but the way they describe it is it feels like a year, but is an instant. Like there are people that are dead for 14 minutes and they come back and their experience was years somewhere else. And they come back and they have been gone for what we would perceive as years. So this book very much aligned with a lot of those stories. And a lot of them, I'd say 95% are given a life review, but the life review happens in all different ways. So just like how Nora had the library and this guy had the video store, the life reviews can happen in millions of different ways. There are people that literally will see the life review on a screen. There are people that will be put into the lives of every person they've ever encountered and feel that other person's responses to their actions in real time. There are people that are just dumped in their head what their whole life was and where they could have made shifts and what it would have looked like if they did the shifts, just like Nora. Like, so this really does align with what happens when people are in between life and death, which is where she was for that brief amount of time. So if you're curious about any of that, go listen to Next Level Soul podcast. Alex Ferrari is like us. You would invite him over for coffee. He's like a nerdy, geeked out Star Wars fan. And he reminds me like one of my brothers. Like he would be our friend. He talks like all of this and he asks like 5 questions to the people and then they just talk the whole time. And they're basic and it's just really good. It's really, really, really good. But it brings in a lot of the spiritual stuff. So in addition to near-death experiences, which is where he started, now a lot of those people come back with gifts where they are now in both worlds. So they can hear things or they can see things or they can feel things or they can know things or all of the above. And so a lot of those people then we'll come on multiple times and just talk about that whole spiritual piece. So if you don't like the spiritual woo-woo stuff, just make sure you're watching episodes that are called NDE, near-death experiences. All right. So I think we learned a lot from this book. Anybody have anything they want to add? Any closing thoughts about the book? Anything that stuck out that you want to say, that you want to get out?
I mean, it had to, for all of us, be introspective of all of our regrets. I mean, Jesus, it's why we read it. It's why you had us read it. I mean, it was infinite. It's like watching that movie. What was the Gwyneth Paltrow movie? Sliding
Doors.
Yeah.
Sliding Doors.
I mean, we could just watch that.
The sliding
It's
door
all
moment.
of our lives.
And really, for me, it was not the regret as much as the for you.
For me, it was the what if. Not really regret of doing, but the possibility of just what if I did something else.
And the truth is, we weren't supposed to. Or you would have.
Right. And that's what I got out of this book. And in the end, she was right where she should be.
In this moment, we are exactly where we're meant to be. Teresa?
I was very hopeful in the end when she ended up in the hospital. I thought the surgeon was going to come in. I was a little disappointed that he didn't.
Me too.
I was waiting for that, but that didn't happen. So that kind of made me sad. But I loved the book. Was awesome. I loved it. Loved it.
I thought for sure Ash was coming, but I do think they end up together. I do think Marlowe's right, and that book that she didn't feel aligned with it because it wasn't hers yet.
Well, in that whole, I think that's actually the interesting part. She loved that life. She couldn't understand, what if she goes back and she's like, that's the life. That's the one. And I think the whole point that she could still grab, as everything's falling down around her, I feel like that was there's some message there that maybe I'm too tired to really walk the string through it right now. But there was something about the fact that she knew it innately. And I would argue somewhere innately, she knew that was the root life. The root life, it could be exactly, that's where she would wind up. I just think that that's, and because she argued so earnestly with Mrs. What's her name? Librarian.
Mrs. Elm.
Mrs. Elm.
I think she wanted to earn that life.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think the lesson in there was I don't want to just be deposited in this really amazing life that I really would love to live. I want to earn it so that I can so it's mine.
What was the rub? I don't remember right in this moment. What was the rub with that life? She's arguing for it. She's telling Mrs. Elm, but that's the life. So what was the thing that didn't feel?
Because it didn't feel like her. It wasn't her memories that led her there.
It wasn't her memories.
Teresa?
I knew that was it. It was the idea that
she went back to search for her old life too there. Because she went back to the other street and the shop that she worked at.
Right, that's where she figures out all the things that she was in their lives. Right. Yeah, I knew there was something because she didn't actually live the in between. She wanted the opportunity to live.
She wanted the opportunity
she got there.
to get there the right way.
Yeah.
The right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and didn't they say like if there was any any disappointment, she would go back to the Midnight Library. It was disappointment. So she was disappointed that the boy who she was giving the piano lessons to in that life, he wasn't getting the piano lessons from her, obviously. So he was getting into trouble with the cops or whatever. So she was feeling the disappointment. And that's why she knew she was going back to the library. And she kept saying, no, please don't make me go back because this is what I want. But she knew that if it wasn't for her, like that kid.
Well, I think that's the first indicator where she has to be in the root life.
Yeah.
She knows she made such an impact with not thinking very much of herself at the time. But yeah, for sure. I knew that I couldn't think of it. I'm getting tired, ladies. Sorry.
We're winding it down. This is what I got. Trust your intuition. You already know when something isn't aligned. Listen to your heart. Your body will always whisper before it screams. Build a future aligned with who you are, not who others want you to be. Honor your choices. They were made with the knowledge and the courage that you had at that time. Honor the love you gave. It was never wasted. It showed your capacity to share deeply. And live with curiosity and awe, because some passions are reasons or seasons, not lifetimes. And that's okay. They're meant to just take us to the next best step. So our next book, all right, is Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. I'm very excited about it.
I love
I
this book.
am. Did you read it, Lorraine?
Yeah, I'm going to listen again. You have,
Yeah.
if you have Audible, listen to it in his voice.
Yeah, I suggest that as well.
Yep. So he reads it himself. It's a great story, and green lights are the basis of Untangled and exactly what we're training our brains to look for. So what I love is he says, we're looking for green lights, but sometimes they're disguised as red or yellow lights too, which is really awesome because green lights mean go, right? Green lights mean we're on to something, but sometimes we get stopped, right? It's all the corrections and the protections and the directions. And we think that they're red lights or yellow lights, but really they're just green lights in disguise, either telling us not this way or we got to slow down. But it's a great book. I'm halfway through, so I know it's going to be a good one. And then after this one, we'll move back to a novel, but I didn't want to just pick a novel that was too similar to this one. So this is 4 weeks from now. We're going to have a shift in how these Monday nights calls go for the month of October. You're going to get a lesson. So the first Monday of the month, we're going to learn something. So we're going to build on an untangled topic, and we're going to learn something, expand. We're expanding on the doc, and we're moving into some psychology around the doc and anxious patterns and avoidant patterns and what it means for our doc work next week. The second week, we're going to talk about the real life application of the lesson from the first Monday. So I'm going to let you guys walk away with something that you're going to pay attention to for the week and bring awareness to. And then the next week, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. So it'll be on that same topic, but it's going to be real life action. The third week is going to be something to do with the health wedge. So the third Monday, we're going to talk about something with the health wedge. And when I say health, it could be mind, it could be body, it could be spirit, but it is health. It could be air, it could be food, it could be movement, it could be literally everything. I am going to pull a lot from my workshop that I did with Barbara O'Neill, who, if you don't know who she is like this very holistic, amazing little Australian guru. And she's amazing. And I spent a lot of money to go to her workshop, and she talks about all the different topics at length. So the third Monday will be a health topic. And then the fourth will always be book club. So that's where we're taking these Monday night calls now that we're merged as a group. And I want everybody to be learning and growing together. So next week, we're actually going to have 2 more people joining us that are graduating. So that will be very exciting. And then going forward, the Untangled Blueprint is, thanks to Amber and her partner Octavia, is going to be in an online platform as a course that will now be readily available to more people that want it, and not necessarily with one-on-one coaching. So there's going to be a couple of different options. And when people get to phase 4, which is resilience, which is after all of the communication stuff and IFS and literally everything we do, they're going to be graduated into this group. So we're going to be growing, we're going to be expanding, but we're going to be doing it at a nice pace. And we're only allowing in the people that need to be here. deserve to be here. All right. And now, because of Amber too, she reminded me of one of my favorite things that I used to do on one of my old masterminds was pick a card. So I'm gonna, let's see, Amber, because you inspired the card, I'm gonna let you give me a number between 1 and 52. And you're gonna
24.
pick a card. What is it?
24. I'm picking 2. My deck is called Affirmations for a Badass. My business partner and I pick a card every morning. She has also a deck. Let's see what we pick for
So
you.
the point of the cards is basically like we're leaving it to fate to send us the message that we're all supposed to be hearing in this moment. And the person that picks it is picking the card. There's a full deck of cards. Some decks are inspirational. Some decks are you're a badassery. Some decks are well-being. This deck is basically untangled. It's Gabby Bernstein. So it says, the difficult relationships in my life are the perfect mirror for me to look more closely at my own behavior.
Love that.
We can all say that one was for us this week.
Mine says, positivity radiates out of me like fucking sunshine. And then
I
just
see that coming out of your ass.
deck. I have one more deck.
Because
Hold
Go
on. I have
ahead.
one. This is the I Am Everything deck. This is a little bit more profound. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you guys a story. I opened up Instagram this morning. I kid you not, I have to share it with you guys. So it's this man that I follow, and he's this holistic man. He's very healthy. And he's basically, it's only a video of him from here like this, laying down, and he has no shirt on. And he's talking about getting sunshine on his asshole
Yeah, that's a big thing these days.
and the health benefits of getting sunshine on his asshole.
Well,
Just
so
wanted to share.
how
I thought it was a joke, but it was not a joke. And all the people were defending the sun tanning your asshole. So there are health benefits. Go look.
let's it's called like perennial sunning, I think, but
See, she knows.
I do.
Barbara O'Neill does not talk about that. That will not be a third Monday night of the month topic.
But ironically, in the I Am Everything cards, the card I just pulled is I am healthy. I honor my body and I'm grateful for the work it does for me. I nourish my body through self-care. I rest when I need to rest. I eat nourishing meals when I need to eat, and I exercise when I need to exercise. I am healthy, and I sun my asshole. It doesn't say that.
And I sun my asshole. I was about to add it myself. All right, ladies. One thread at a time. We're untangling it all. Thank you. Thank you. This was great. I will see you guys next Monday. Can't wait to expand on ductwork.
Jackie, do you have a minute? Can I just call you?
Yes, call me.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
wonderful evening.
Bye, guys.